Hi guys, I am back with our fourth Rosetta. It's my favorite so far, but we all know I say that about all of them. The truth is, as the Rosettas get bigger and more detailed, they just become more and more gorgeous, and I fall more and more in love. You know, the process to turn our last Rosetta into a new one is a fairly simple one, but it will take us a while. So let's get started. Since I showed you all the 5 shapes we will need for a La Passacaglia quilt Rosetta in my last video, I figured I would make the 5 pieces with you from start to bottom, so you will see what I do behind the scenes, you know, every time I prepare a La Passacaglia video. And that I will continue to do until I've created a whole quilt top. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of little pieces. Does it scare me? A little bit. Enough to make me quit? Not at all. I am quite obsessed by now. And in my head, I can already picture the quilt I'll be making. It won't be exactly the La Passacaglia template, but I'll definitely feature many Rosettas. So, as we've discussed, we have 5 shapes in these Rosettas. 2 sized diamonds, just like these, a bigger one and a smaller one. 2 sized pentagons, and a triangle. Okay, so these are the pieces and the sizes we want, and these are the templates I've created to be able to cut the fabric with the seam allowance for each piece. So I'm just going to get a piece of fabric real quick. Let me see. Even for demonstrations, I have a hard time picking fabric. Oh, I'm the worst. Okay, let's make it red. So here's how we do it. We have these pieces of fabric and we put all the templates on it. Now I usually try to waste as little fabric as I can, so usually I just put them all closer together, but right now, because I want you all to see what I'm doing, I'm just going to leave it at that. Then I get, you know, a chalk pen or a regular pen, because we are going to be cutting all of this off, and we just draw our shapes like so. So the big pentagon, the big diamond. You can, you know, if I'm using all the fabric, I like to stick them all together. Easier to cut, less waste of fabric. Probably should have made the triangle here, the pentagon there. Oh well. Now we are going to cut all these shapes. Okay, and don't worry if you don't cut exactly on the line, because this is a seam allowance. Okay, you have a little bit of freedom. Doesn't need to be the exact thing. You know, when I was making hexes, I have done a lot of hexy projects. With you, I think it was the mug rug, but I have made quilts, table runners. I just love hexes. I'm obsessed. And when I make them, I'm not usually this fussy. I just pick like a square of fabric. If I want some fussy cutting, I will. But other than that, I don't even bother cutting the fabric into, you know, the hexagon shape. I just add the paper and use it just as it is. And then when, you know, the quilt or whatever I'm doing is about to be complete, then I may trim a little bit of extra fabric off if I think it's too bulky, but that's pretty much it. But here, because the pieces are smaller, well, they could be even smaller. I'm not making the book size. I'm being a little bit more liberal about it because, you know, there are a lot of Rosettas I need to make. And we'll talk about that in a while. I want to make a huge quilt with these Rosettas, so the bigger I make them, the less Rosettas I need to make. But I will say there was a larger size on the Etsy shop I bought the digital files from. So, you know, I just picked the middle ground. Something not very tiny, but not really huge either. You know, I'm not that lazy. Okay, so here we have all our 5 shapes in fabric, and now we just need to add our paper pieces that I have downloaded and cut, and I have them right here. Now, so we will need these paper pieces right here. I'm going to put them in their rightful places, like so. And we will also need a very handy temporary glue pen as well. Now, you can sew the fabric into the paper. You really don't need a glue pen. It just saves you a lot of time and trouble when you want to place the paper and when you want to remove it. So here's how we glue or sew the fabric onto the pieces. we just pick a sequence, clockwise or counterclockwise, and we just stick to it, because that just helps the seams fit together nicely, okay? That means less bulk. So here we go. So we just draw a line just like this, and we just fold the fabric. And if we were sewing, we would fold the fabric as well. Okay, let me just draw a second line, and then we will fold it again and just make sure the thread went through all the connections to make sure it just didn't fall off the paper. That's the whole objective, having our fabric not fall off our paper. So this is one. Let's do a bigger one now. So I am doing clockwise, as you can see. I always end up doing them clockwise. Just makes more sense to me. And the second line, and we fold. And the third line, and we fold. And our fourth line, just like so. You see how quick this is? There is no way, well, maybe someone who's really good at it, but there is no way I would be able to sew this fast, no matter how I tried. Just, yeah, I'm making these lines really big. There's no need, you can just use the corner. There's no need to waste the glue. It's temporary glue, you know, just draw a line. And I'm making it pretty visible so you can see the line, but you don't need to do this, okay? Just a line that will hold the fabric in place is all you need. 3. Oops, this one wasn't quite ready yet. 1 and 2. And 3. And 4. Now, personally, I like to trim these bulky extra pieces of fabric, but you don't have to if you don't wanna. So this one and the triangle as well. There is no need for this to be here. It's just creating bulk. Okay, and for our last shape, the big one, which is the one we'll be using today, by the way, the big pentagon. And just so you can have an idea of the number of pieces it takes to make the rosettas, let's count. For this first rosetta, this tiny rosetta, I used 10 pieces, right? 5 and 5. For the second one, where we added the big pentagons, I used 20, right? 5 plus 5 plus 10, 20. For the third rosetta, the last one we made, the big one where we added the stars, and each star alone is 6 pieces, I needed 90 pieces. So 20 pieces from the last rosetta plus 60 pieces for the stars and 10 diamonds in between. And today I have my 90-piece rosetta right here, and we are adding 20 pentagons all around it. So by the time I'm done, this lovely rosetta will feature 110 pieces. And there is still 4 rosettas to go, I think, and one of them will feature stars. So yeah, I don't think counting the pieces is a very good idea, because now I am scared. Just kidding, you know, every time I look at one of these, I know it's all worth it. This is a rosetta I've got ready, and these are the 20 pentagons that I'm going to sew onto it. So let's just, I'm not sure I'll be able to fit it all into the camera. Let's let's just see how this goes. Okay, so this is what we need to sew. Let's get started. I have got my quilting needle right here, and I've got, well, actually I changed to gray because the white was just showing too much. You know, I rarely have a piece of white fabric, so using the white thread just didn't make sense to me. It shows all over. But the gray, you know, or a beige, it's just a more subdued color. It just blends in nicer. Okay, so we're going to start by sewing these two together, and we've talked about two possible stitches we can use to sew these pieces together, right? And by the way, if you want to see me do the smaller rosettas, you know, all the steps I've taken to get to this one, you can watch the 3 videos I have made for the playlist right after you're done with this one, okay? Now I'm just going to speed all this sewing along, and I will talk to you in a bit. Let's do this. Okay, so now that all our pentagon pairs are sewn together, all there's left to do is to sew them onto our big rosette, more specifically to our stars. Are you ready? Let's do it. And we're done, guys. Tell me, isn't this the most gorgeous rosetta we've made so far? I think so. And soon enough, these rosettas just won't fit my camera lens. I'll just have to show it to you guys from far, far away. Thank you for doing this with me. I had a blast. I hope you did too. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.